Hi everyone, welcome to my craft room. My name is Liz and welcome. I am a long time stitcher that I live in Northern Kentucky, and today I'm going to be going through with you my finishes and my WIPs and what I'm planning on starting through about the end of the year. But today I'm going to focus on what I did in September and show you what I finished and you can see what I'm working on. The first thing I finished was a Charlie Harper pattern that I started several months ago. And I'm doing this on a linen. And I don't have a card in here to tell me, do I? Yes. I did it on a Zweigert linen white 28 count with the called for threads. And this is my Charlie Harper pattern. It's called Cardinal on the Corn. And I wasn't crazy about the color, but I didn't change it, and I should have. I wish I'd made the corn cob just slightly more golden instead of the color, but I think they wanted something, you know, Charlie did really bright colors, and so I think he wanted a more orangey, which is what the actual artwork is, but I think I would have preferred a yellow, but I went ahead and did what was called for. There is a seller on eBay who has bought the right to the Charlie Harper patterns, so a lot of them are re-available now when they were out of print, and he is reselling them. Just do a search for Charlie Harper cross stitch and you'll find it, or you can put in Charles. I think he's got it in Charles and Charlie. And I just bought 3 more patterns from him. I love Charlie Harper's artwork, and so I just bought 3 more. I bought the otter, the mother and the baby otter pattern, and another cardinal pattern, and one other one, the raccoon one, I think, one of the raccoon ones. The next thing I finished was the Tiny Modernist Stitch Along, the cross stitch, the Snow Globe series. And this was part 1. And I'm buying the kits through Crazy Annie, and so she sent me all the floss I needed with the first kit, and then she's sending just the fabric and the pattern on the follow-up ones. So this was my stitch for the first one. I just think he's adorable. I love penguins. My dream is to go on an Antarctica cruise and expedition and see all these penguins in person. And she just sent me last week the next 2. And this one is the little bear. This is part 2. And part 3 is a llama or an alpaca. I'm not sure the difference. Probably a llama, because that's what most people go through, although I like alpacas, even though they spit on you. So that's the next thing I finished was part 1 of that. 6 more to go, 5 more to go. There's 6 in the series. And the 3rd, 4th, and 5th things I finished were a vintage ornament set by Cherry Blossoms Quilting. And these are the 3 patterns. And I also bought the backing boards, the wooden ornaments that you can buy to go along with these. And I have to paint those. So I've bought the paint except for one color I need, which Walmart didn't have. So I'm going to go out to Michael's hopefully this weekend and buy the other paints and get these things painted so I can get them finished. But here's my first one. The fabric called for was blue, but I liked this mottled color green instead, which is, to get my sheets out, Fiber on the Whim, 28 count Lugana in the color Mist. So that was the house, and here is the Santa. And here is the sleigh. The white I changed to the B5200 white, and a lot of the threads I changed. I threw in a little bit of blue thread because they had one thread that was really close to the mist color, and so I changed that to blue and just changed up with threads I already had on hand because they were just Christmas colors. So that finished my September finishes. And sometimes I throw in those small ones in between my bigger projects just so I feel like I'm accomplishing something. The next thing I worked on, and I got not finished, but I got the part of the border finished, was a Welsh pattern by Sellenmore X Stitch on Etsy. And this was the pattern, a Welsh sampler. And if you look closely at the pattern, I don't know where my finger is. They're the green line and the Greek line, and then the very fine other green line. I got that done. It was a lot of stitching. The next thing I have is the next red chain link sort of stitching, and then this another green. There's a lot of borders on this thing, and then the flowers that go around. So, but I got the first 3 done, which I was really glad about, and I will show it to you. And this thing is a monster. I think the fabric called for was 40 count, and I'm doing this on 28, so it's massively larger than called for. If I back way up, I can get it all in the picture. But I worked on this thing all summer long, and not every day, obviously, but I finally got the 3 borders done, and now I have to work on that 4th little red chain link one, and then the other ones, and then start on the other borders. I'm just doing it one border at a time, so I can just keep plugging away at it. It's going to take me the rest of my life, probably. The next thing I'm working on is Silver Creek Samplers My Christmas List. And I just think this is such a fun pattern. It's got all the things I love about Christmas. And I love Christmas, and then every year at Christmas I hate Christmas because there's just so much to do, and I'm hoping it'll be better this year because I recently retired and I feel like I'll have more time to do the things I want to do for Christmas. I am doing this on a 28 count mushroom Lugana that I got from 123 Stitch, and I'm using the called for threads. But this has been really fun pattern to stitch with, and you feel like once you get a line done that you're just really making progress. I think the last time I showed you this, I was down to the sweater, but I had not finished the sweater and what was under it. So I've come a long way on this one. I will not get this done by Christmas, but I'm hoping to get it done by next Christmas, or even maybe by Christmas in July next year. I think it'll go fast, so that works for me. The next thing I am working on is Love Your Family by Teresa Kogut. And I am doing this on a 27 count even weave by Bestitch Me in the color Sand Dollar. And I am using the as called for threads. And the last time I showed you this, I think I had part of the house done, and I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look, and I should take screenshots of that, and I don't. But here I am. I've got I've probably got a third of the pattern done now. I'm filling in the roof currently. Sorry about the hanging thread. And the next thing I'll start on is the big hill that has Love Your Family, Change the World and Love Your Family. And I am going to take this with me next week I am going to Williamsburg, Virginia next week to the Annabella's retreat that has featuring Jeanette Douglas and Plum Street Samplers. And I'm looking forward to that because this is going to be only my second retreat. Well, I had a small one-day retreat back in the summer along with StitchCon. And I just paid for my StitchCon for next year. So I'm very happy about that. The next thing I'm working on is Fox and Rabbit's Cloister Garden, which is the 2025 stitch along from them. And I've heard this is going to be the last free stitch along that they're going to start charging from now on. But so far this year, this one's been free. And so I downloaded the patterns every month and I've kept current with it. And I'm doing this on a 16 count. Get my project card. A 14 count Ada in a hand dyed, and I don't know who the fabric is by. I bought it at Keepsakes, and I didn't keep the little slip of paper that I got with the fabric. So this month's stitching called for these boxes on either side of these big flower cloisters, flower pots. And so I'm doing this in Silken Colors by the Thread Gatherer in Warlock Road, which is a variegated green, blue, and gray, and kind of purplish. Anyway, this is my thing, and I've got the boxes done on two sides, and I'm working on this third side. And it's going to be beautiful when it's done. It's already beautiful. And I can't wait to see it completely finished. So I'm really keeping current on this one. August and September, the stitching on it were those 4 big flower pots on each side. And those things took forever. But I am very happy to say I finished it September 30th, I think. And so I could start with October 1st doing these boxes. And I'm almost done with the boxes. I've got 2.5 sides done. So I've just got 1.5 left. So I'm very happy to get that done in September or October. The next thing I worked on in September, I think I worked on it, was Owl Forest Embroidery Turtle Quaker. And I'm doing it with my fabric, their threads. And my fabric is just a 28 count Lugana in antique white. I don't know who made the fabric, but I'm stitching this. And I've got these 2 big turtle done. I think the only thing I finished in September was to finish this turtle, but I may be mistaken and I didn't work on it at all in September. But it's got a nice little head start on it. I'm hoping to get this done. Good luck with that. By Harper's birthday next June. But I don't know. We'll see. It's a lot of stitching. And those Quakers take a lot of counting, as you know. Try not to have too many zipper noises and things like that. The next thing I am working on is a pattern called No More by Birdie's Crossing on Etsy, and it's this pattern. Just kind of my way of dealing with what's going on in our crazy country right now. And I am just doing this in one color, which is Coal by Weeks Dyes Works. And I kind of wish I hadn't started this with the coal because it's so much thread, and I don't think people will notice the black versus the black and just kind of variegated black. But I'm doing it. I started it that way, and I'm not picking on what I got out. So I am doing this on a 32 count X Jude linen by within the color Marbled Bunny. And I've come a long way on this since the last time I showed it to you. I think I only had these 2 crowns done and maybe part of this done. So I worked on it about 2 or 3 nights and got where I'm at done. So the next thing I'm going to put in, I think, is the other 2 crowns on this side, and then go down and just kind of keep working down. But I'm pretty happy with what this looks like. This is, again, I think I bought too much fabric, but it's massive. But it's a really pretty fabric color, and I like the mottled brown in it. Keep these things together. The next thing I am working on, I already showed you that, I showed you that, I showed you that, is Babushka's Blossoms. And this is a new start for me. I just started it on September 30th, so that's why I included it with September's stitching. But this is a, like I said, a new start, and this is a Plum Street sampler. I wanted to do one Plum Street sampler pattern that I would be taking with me to the retreat next weekend. And I just thought this was such a fun pattern. I love the name of it. So I've come a long way. This has been a really quick stitch, and I get on it, and it makes me happy, this stitch. So I've got a lot done. And I am keeping this one for next weekend so I can just fill in the pumpkin. It's just such a fun pattern. I just love it. I am doing this on a pattern, a 28 count Joblin by by Bestitch Me, and the color is A Little Sassy, which doesn't explain the fabric at all, but it is a neutral fabric that's just got very, very light modeling on it. So, and it's got a slight, very slight, to me, pinkish cast. So it goes really well with the, even though there's no pinks in the colors of the threads, I feel like it just goes really, really good with the threads. Just kind of highlights the threads a little bit. So those were my September stitches. I have 3 stitches planned, maybe 4, probably 4, by the end of the year. The first one I have planned is Salem Remembered, and I bought this pattern off of Etsy, and it is by The Primitive Needle, and this was a re-release. Apparently it was a very, very popular and hard to find pattern, and they re-released the pattern. So I bought the pattern, and this is it. It's got all the witches that were burned in Salem, and one man. All the women witches and one man. And I am doing this on, let me pull my fabric, a 42 count Ada lemongrass, and I do not know who made the fabric, but it's kind of a mottled gray-green, very pretty. This is really more of a representation, I feel like. And the only color that was called for was that I couldn't find was sun-ripened rhubarb. So I am substituting this crimson for that. And these are all silken colors threads, which I love. They're just so beautiful to work with. I just love working with them. The Fox and Rabbit project that I'm working on has been all silken colors, and I'm using Warlock Road on that one, which I think I said, but I keep running out of it and buying more. So the dye lots are all different, but it's all blended. So I've been very happy about that. The next one that I am going to be starting is one of the brand new patterns that was just re-released or released during the September releases, called Coven at the Beach by The Primitive Hair. This is the pattern. And I also bought the hand-dyed fabric for the sky and the sand. It was all in one fabric. from the primitive hair along with threads. I bought the whole kit. So this is the fabric. Well, I think I'm going to iron this fabric before I start. It's a 32 count linen, 30 count linen. And these are all the thread colors, which I think will be super pretty on this fabric. So I've got that ready to go. This was going to be my Halloween start. I may start it before Halloween. I may take this and start it next weekend. When I get a new pattern kitted up, which I've got probably 20 kits kitted up, I'm always anxious to start them, and then I don't start them for a while, and then I kit something else up, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that regard. But the final thing I want to start, well, there's two things I want to start, and I don't have one of them kitted up, was another new pattern called Thanksgiving. And it is by Erica Michaels, and this is the pattern. And it's so pretty. The teals go really well with my decor, and I just love the teal and the rust colors together. This is the fabric I'm putting it on, which is Fabric Flare 28 count Lugana in the color Cafe. And it's such a super pretty fabric, and I've got all the thread spot for that, and I'm ready to go, and I'm going to maybe take this with me and start it. I don't know. I may wait till this may be my November start. I try not to start more than one. Of course, when I started stitching again back in March, it took me a while because I went through all my old stash and figured out what I wanted to finish. I had a lot of those projects started, and I finished a lot of those projects. And so I am now kitting up more, and I'm trying not to get my WIPS out of hand. I've probably got another 10 or 12 WIPS going that I didn't stitch on in September that will be part of. Maybe I'll stitch in October, maybe I won't. I've got a couple sals I'm working on that I did not stitch on in September, so hope to get those worked on in October and get those kind of caught up. I'm trying not to do more than 2 or 3 sals at once, although I just bought the holiday house from Satsuma and the ho-ho from Tiny Modernist, and both of those are super cute sals, and I'm just collecting the patterns at this point, not the fabric and the thread, but I thought both patterns were super cute. And the last thing I want to do is a pattern called Peas and Carrots by Not Forgotten Farm, and it's super cute, and I think I've got the thread. If not, I may just use the threads that I have already on this because it's a fairly simple pattern, and I may brighten up the colors a little bit. But this is the pattern. And I just think it's super cute. And when our twins were born, our twin grandnephews were born, we did a 2 peas in a pod theme, and I thought this would be just a cute thing to do, and I might incorporate their names in this somehow. So that's another one that I just bought and printed out the pattern, and I haven't started using Pattern Keeper or Markup X yet on my phone. We downloaded both programs to my phone, and I've played around with it a little bit, but I haven't stitched with it yet. And I feel like my phone's too small to do the patterns on, so I'm gonna maybe load them to my husband's iPad instead and try working off one to see how I like it. So far I've still been doing my paper patterns like an old-fashioned way of doing things, but that's kind of me. I'm old-fashioned. But anyway, those are all my September stitches, and I'm going to try to do this about once a month to keep you apprised of what I'm working on, and I hope you join me again. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section, and I'll be happy to answer them. I know I probably have missed out some of the things I'm talking about, as far as what threads I've got and things like that. But you are certainly welcome to comment on my page, and I will do my best to answer you, even if it's saying you hate my guts. I'm gonna say I'm sorry. But anyway, happy October stitching, everyone, and I'll see you soon.